Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Wednesday, the 10th of January. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined this morning by Chris Jack. How's it going, Chris?
Not too bad, Derek. Not bad. How's things?
Hunky-dory. Over. We've got plenty to talk about. A bit of a flurry of transfer activity yesterday to mull over, which we'll get into very shortly indeed. Folks, just a quick word for our podcast sponsors before we do. The MPH Group, if you're looking for some home improvements or even a new boiler, then these are the guys to call. Not only that, every service you opt in for automatically enters you into a prize draw for a 7-night stay at a 5-star resort in Cancun over in Mexico. So do go and give these guys a call. The all-important links are in the description below if you're looking for a bit of tarting up your house this year, perhaps. So, right, let's get on to Rangers, Chris, because, of course, we're in the January transfer window and a bit of movement, it seems, with regards to incomings and outgoings. Where shall we start? I think we'll start with Michy Batshuayi. Reported last night that Rangers were keen on offering him an escape route from Fenerbahce, where he's struggling for game time at this moment in time. Rangers believed to be one of a number of clubs interested in the Belgian. According to reports you read, Philippe Clement set for talks with Batshuayi over the next 24 hours. Of course, you will remember him from his time in the Premier League with Chelsea, Crystal Palace as well. He's spent time with Everton, Everton are keen on a loan deal for him. He was at one time £33 million striker on quite considerable wages, according to our Belgian transfer expert that we've had on the show before, Sacha Tavolieri. He's on €3.5 million per year at Fenerbahce. Not getting much game time, as I mentioned, Chris. This looks like someone who is looking towards the summer. His Belgian squad place may be at risk if he's not playing games. He's looking for regular game time. It would be quite a coup if Rangers could pull this off. I'm not getting overly excited by it because I just think that it's not. I mean, he hasn't. The January transfer window is a difficult window. Either players are in form and you have to pay a premium for them, or players aren't in form or aren't playing, and you have to be wary about that. Whether Rangers can get him up and firing if he does appear at Ibrox, it remains to be seen. Michy Batshuayi, are you all on board the Batman train?
Who knew when the Scottish Cup draw was made that Dumbarton could be lining up against £70 million worth of striker one day? quite the prospect for the Sons of the Rock. No, it's a real interesting link, as you mentioned there, Derek. It looks like a guy who's not played a lot of football this season and who needs to play football in the second half of the season. Also, with the finals coming up in the summer, there's going to be a lot of players in that particular bracket. Also, another one of the strong links we've had to Rangers over the course of this window has been Lauren Shankland. Yep. And one of the things that has been involved in that conversation is, well, does he stay at Hearts and play every week, score most weeks, and go into the Euros in good form and all but secure his place in that squad? Does he risk making a move, perhaps not playing, perhaps not settling, perhaps not getting the number of goals, and that then puts his place at a risk? On the flip side, as a player, much like Fabio Silva, much like Batshuayi, these guys need to be playing football. They need to be regulars in the second half of the season to get themselves in their respective squads. So from his point of view, I'm sure he's not going to be short of offers. He's moved around a fair deal in his career so far. He's clearly a big name, clearly a talented player, someone who has, as we mentioned, gone for significant transfer fees during the course of his career. Hasn't stayed in any one place for any particular length of time, as he has jumped around from league to league, from club to club, but has always done relatively well, no matter where he's been. Scored goals at a high level. Also scored a lot of goals for his national side as well. So he's clearly a good player. He should clearly be good enough for Scottish football, but it's whether Rangers can do that particular deal. It remains to be seen how keen are on him. Remains to be seen how much they pursue that one. And again, as you mentioned at the top there, Derek, wages are obviously going to be a considerable factor. But if you are Batshuayi, you need to be playing football. No, so I can see the attraction from all parties on this one, and it's certainly one of the bigger names that we've seen linked with Scottish football. The downside is how many big names have come into Rangers or come into Scottish football over the last few years. How many of these big names with big reputations automatically then come in and hit the ground running and really live up to the hype? Rangers have been stung by that more than once over the last couple of seasons. So I think it's if it is one the manager does decide to pursue, and it is one that Rangers decide to press the button on, I think like Silva, it carries a risk, but it would be a risk worth taking if Clement can get the best out of him. Clearly a talented player, should clearly be able to score goals in the Premiership. So there's a lot of moving parts in this one, and interesting to see how it unfolds over the next 24, 48 hours or so.
Yeah, it won't be short of offers, that's for sure. I think a pull for Batshuayi will be the fact that Philippe Clement is the manager at Rangers, highly respected, of course, Belgian as well. So there is that link. One to keep an eye on, of course. I will be speaking to a Fenerbahce journalist tomorrow, folks, who'll give us a bit of an insight into how he's got on, not only at Fenerbahce, but his time he spent on loan at Besiktas as well. So we'll get a proper insight into him. It just smacks to me like almost like a Frank de Boer loan for the Rangers Daz out there when he joined Rangers for 6 months ahead of Euro 2004 to get fit for the tournament. There'll be a number of players, incidentally, that will be looking to perform for the national team in the summer and will be itching for a move. I think we discussed with Joshua yesterday, Robbie McCrory should be one of those because he has to be playing games if he wants to secure a place with Scotland at the Euros. Right, in terms of outgoings then, Chris, news that reports over in the Netherlands state that Sam Lammers is set to be offered an escape route from Ibrox. FC Utrecht believed to be keen on signing him on loan. And there's some murmurings as well. There could be an option to buy there. Also, according to some reports in Holland, it's fair to say he has been pretty much a disaster since signing from Atalanta. If Rangers can recoup, I've seen it reported around £2.75 million for him. If they make a loss of just over £1.5 million, for example, on him, I think they've won a watch on that. I know that there's clubs in Holland that still rate Sam Lammers. I would be amazed if he was still a Rangers player when the window closes. Good bit of business from Nils Koppen if he gets him out the door, Chris.
I think getting them out on loan would be a good bit of business. Getting them out on loan with an option to buy at that level of fee, I think would be a great bit of business for Rangers. It's a transfer that has just not worked out. It's been a mistake from Rangers, a huge mistake from Michael Beale, and it's just even from Sam's perspective, you must be wondering, does he regret making the move? Was it worth the hassle? Was it worth the risk coming over here? He was sold on a project. Michael Beale said he was the first player that he spoke to, and they were aligned on where he was going to play, and all the usual buzzwords. We've yet to see any of it. Yet to see what we thought, or what Michael Beale thought Lammers was going to bring to the side. Doesn't score goals, doesn't create enough goals, goes missing in games. A nice big guy. He's been nice to speak to a couple of times that we have done, but he's nowhere near at the level that Rangers require, and certainly nowhere near the level of player to justify the outlay over the summer. So I think his signing and the failure of that signing probably sums up Michael Beale's recruitment over the summer. Some of them have been better than others. Some, like Butland, have come in and been great. Yeah. Others, like Sterling, we've seen over the last wee while, have come in and been really impressive. Lammers has, as I say, he's shown very, very little over the course of the season. So he's clearly not going to be part of Philippe Clement's plans. Not good enough for for what Rangers have coming up over the next few months. And if they can do a deal to get rid of him permanently in the summer and try and recoup as much of that fee as possible. I think it was 3.5 they paid for him in the summer.
Yeah.
If they can get 2 or 2.5 and lose, I say 1.5 million pounds or so, I think that's as good as Rangers can do with it. It's a case of you wish him well, you send him on his way, and we never speak of him again.
Yeah, to put it kindly. Utrecht, incidentally, mid-table in the Eredivisie at this moment in time. He will not be playing under anywhere near the same amount of pressure and expectation as he was placed under at Rangers. The jersey was too big for him. Wish him well. As we say, never going to work at Rangers, unfortunately. Right, there's loads of comments coming in. I'll get to a few of them before we move on. First of all, a comment here. I thought you boys would be in Spain by now. Unfortunately, Joshua is heading off there today, not us. We're staying back at home, buddy. But yeah, we've got lots of content coming your way. Actually, I'll be on this afternoon with Joshua, a special afternoon briefing. He's over there, heading out as we speak to La Manga. The players heading out today as well. So, one to keep an eye on, but we've got plenty of shows coming your way. Interesting point that came in from John Turner. This is another rumour I've seen doing the rounds yesterday, Chris. John Turner says, any truth in Tav been linked with Saudi? This is according to reports. Clubs in Saudi Arabia preparing to test Rangers with a move for skipper James Tavernier. I heard there was a bit of noise in the summertime of teams being interested in Tav, and I was surprised that an offer wasn't made for him at that point. So this is interest that hasn't gone away, Chris. Should we expect a bid to be made for the captain in this transfer window?
This one comes around every so often. I heard the same chat as yourself today over the course of the summer that there was a bit of interest in Tav. It never materialised. It was played down at that stage. I actually heard a murmuring a few weeks ago that there might be interest in him, but again, it didn't really go anywhere. It didn't really seem to have any legs. It's now come back again. I would be surprised, not because Tav's not a good player, and not because he wouldn't fancy the money on offer, because that's also a huge incentive for anyone. But I don't see what's in it for Tav apart from the financial side of it. I think when you get this close, potentially going in challenging for more domestic honours this season, potentially winning 56, also European ones to look forward to. There's a feeling that Rangers are getting somewhere under manager after a couple of barren seasons and a couple of false dawns under Michael Beale, and then Oslo Gio beforehand. I think it would be a big move from Tav's perspective to say, I'm going to give up on a testimonial, I'm going to give up on the chance to really can cement my Rangers legacy, cement my place in Rangers history, to then go. Obviously there will be many millions of reasons why he might do it. It's obviously sets his family up for life, but it's not as if he's playing for Rangers for nothing. He's on a decent wage there. It's still a couple of years left on the contract. It's hard to say no, because as soon as a Saudi offer is put in front of anyone, as we've seen, there's many players have taken it. Some players, former club captains, are wishing that they hadn't made that particular move. So there's perhaps a lesson to Tav there, that the grass isn't always greener, no matter how many millions are in your bank account. So I would be surprised from his perspective if he thought that was the right move right now. And also from a Rangers perspective, they will not want to lose him. You can't afford to be losing your captain halfway through the season. But again, money talks. Now, Tav, he cost what, 400 grand, I think it was, when Mark Warburton brought him in. He's more than, I think it's safe to say, he's more than justified the fee over the last 8-9 years or so. Money talks. Now, it'd be silly to completely knock it down and say, no, if an offer was put on the table that Rangers couldn't refuse and that Tav couldn't refuse, then that situation can obviously change. But I don't think it's one that would be appealing to any party right now when there's that much at stake.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he was to swap Rangers for Saudi Arabia. Just needs to pick up the phone to Jordan Henderson, and I'm sure that would put him off playing in front of crowds of two men and a dog, really, pretty much over there. It's where careers go to die for me. If you go over there to Saudi, I get the money at stake, but yeah, I don't know why you would give up Rangers other than financial reasons to go to play in Saudi Arabia. If a big bid, there's lots of comments coming in, was to come in, then I'm sure it's something the Rangers board would have to think about. He is 32 years of age now. I think we have probably... I say that we have seen the best of Tavernier. He still produces big moments in games. So, yeah, want to keep an eye on him, sure, but his interest that certainly hasn't gone away over the last few months. So there are clubs keeping an eye on the Rangers captain. Jim Strachan says 30 million for Tav. Listen, if clubs are bidding 30 million for Tav, he's away. Don't you worry about that. There's a point that came in. Another player that has left, has departed, Chris, just a youngster, of course, is Jay Hogarth. He's joined Dumbarton on loan until the end of the season. 20 years of age. He spent last season on the books of Alloa. He's ineligible, incidentally, folks. He cannot play against Rangers in that Scottish Cup third round tie, which takes place later this month. He is one goalkeeper heading out the door. I'd like to get your thoughts on Robbie McCrory as well, Chris. Do you see him moving out in this window? Philip Clement did say he would get game time at various points. I'd imagine Dumbarton would be an ideal time to play him. For me, it has to go out either on loan or on a permanent deal. He's too good to be sitting on the bench, not playing football. He has to be playing, and I'm sure he's thinking about his international prospects as well. Is he one you can see heading out?
That international situation, I think that will be a big consideration for Robbie over the next 3 weeks or so, whatever's left of the transfer window. He won't be in the Scotland squad if he's not playing football. I know he's someone that Steve Clarke rates. He's been involved in the squads previously. For me, he could be the next Scotland goalkeeper. I think he is good enough. I think he does have the potential to go on and be Scotland's number one. I think he's got the potential to be Rangers' number one, but there's a very large obstacle in the way at present. I mentioned Jack Butland earlier on in terms of successful signings. He stands head and shoulders ahead of anyone in terms of successful signings. So it's going to be difficult for Robbie to get in the team. I do wonder, does he just give it, another 6 months, another summer? Because how often have we spoken over the last couple of months about teams potentially being interested in Jack Butland? Could he be one that would attract a bit of interest? If he does and then decides to move on, Robbie's then again got that chance to try and stake his claim and get the Rangers jersey. But it's then another 6 months down the line. It's another chance in the summer. So I think it's an interesting few weeks coming up for Robbie, because I say he's someone who I rate highly. I think he does have the potential to be a Rangers number one. I would have given him a crack at the jersey in the summer, but you then see Butland come in, and you just can't argue with that. You can't argue with how impressive Butland has been, the impact that he's had, and no matter how good Robbie is right now or how good we think he can be, Jack Butland is the Rangers number one and deserves to be. So I think it's another difficult one for Robbie, because he will be in that situation of knowing that he has to play, but it's then, where do you move on? Where do you go and try and get those games? So I'm sure the manager would love to keep him, because if the worst comes to the worst and he is called upon for a prolonged period of time, if anything was to happen to Jack Butland, having Robbie there, it's an ideal guy to step in. You could certainly trust him to go and do a job, but Robbie has to be selfish in this situation. Has to think about himself as well.
Yeah, he certainly does. Some comments come in about other potential departures. Dana Life says, is Ridvan away, lads? Reports I've seen in Turkey claim that Galatasaray were keen on bringing him back to Turkey, but Ridvan not too enamoured with that move. He doesn't want to go back to his homeland, apparently. But the move to Verona, Chris, do we expect that to go through soon?
Still nothing concrete on that one. Obviously, plenty of talk about Ridvan moving on. I think, as we discussed earlier on in the week, it would be a deal that suits all parties. I'm certainly not adverse to him moving on. Obviously, Rangers then have to go into the market and sign a replacement. But I think the fee that they would get for him and those wages, I think they could be better utilised to give the manager his own choice at left back and allow him to go into the market and allow Nils Koppen to go into the market to try and strengthen that area of the side. So I think it might not be imminent, but hopefully I think there will be something on Ridvan over the next wee while, because I think it makes sense for all parties for him to move on. And again, it's that Euros, it's that international consideration. He's not going to be playing in his international side, whether it's over the next couple of months, over the next couple of years. He's not going to be playing for Turkey if he's not a regular for Rangers, and I just don't see him being a regular for Rangers.
Yeah. Speaking of Nils Koppen, you've got a great piece on the website, Chris, looking at his move from PSV. What can people expect if they read that? I certainly think Rangers are in better hands now going into the transfer market than what they were last summer.
He's someone who he only officially started, I think, 8 days ago now, but he's been involved a lot longer than that. So I think that the piece kind of goes through the whole process why Rangers decided to go down this particular route. We've seen Ross Wilson, we've seen Mark Allen going further back with Frank McParland, all in this recruitment type role, all with slightly different remits, slightly different job titles, but certainly in Allen and Ross Wilson's case, it has been this kind of overarching director of football, sporting director role. That's not Nils Koppen's position. The club have moved towards this football board model. It's also got the chairman on it, James Bisgrove as chief exec. Neil sits on that, the manager sits on it, and then Mark Waller and Zeb Jacobs as well. So they oversee the kind of big ticket items of player recruitment, player sales, player contracts, and then individually they've obviously all got their areas of expertise. So, for example, Zeb goes and he deals only with academy stuff. Also, the Mark Waller deals with fitness and sports science, that type of thing. So it's moved to a more wide-ranging, more collaborative approach at that level, rather than one guy overseeing first team, B team, women's team, sports science, medical, all the rest of it. So it's a change in structure from Rangers, and the piece outlines some of the reasons behind that, and then goes into why they felt Nils Koppen was the right man for the job, going through some of the successes that he's had at PSV, some of the players that he's been able to bring through their ranks, some of the players that he's spent a bit of money on and then sold on, some players that he's managed to pick up for free through academies, and then their transfer value has really increased. So if he can have the same impact at Rangers that he's been a part of at PSV, it certainly puts the club in a good position. So hopefully everyone enjoys that piece. It took a couple of days to get it all sorted. It's a big read on the website this morning. So I'd urge everyone to go and read it, go and check it out, and hopefully they get a bit more insight into what Nils will bring to the club, why he's at the club, and what Rangers will what Rangers hope to achieve in terms of their transfer dealings.
Yeah, I'll pop the link in the comments section as well, folks. Do go and check it out. Finally, we'll just discuss other news, which it was easy to forget given the transfer news that emerged yesterday, is that Rangers are going to move the Livingston supporters when Livy come to Ibrox on February the 3rd. Instead of being in the Govan West corner, they'll be moved to the club deck. Rangers say it's a trial objective to maximise the number of Rangers supporters within Ibrox Stadium and to help further amplify the matchday atmosphere in support of the team. They do go on to say in a statement, over 20,000 MyGers members are on the season ticket waiting list, and the club will continue to explore options to maximise the number of tickets available to Rangers supporters both home and away. And then they also urge season ticket holders who cannot attend a home match to use Seats Up to make their seat available to another Rangers supporter. I'm intrigued to see how this works, Chris. I think it's a good idea. Good to get more Rangers fans in the ground. It's amazing to think there's 20,000 on the season ticket waiting list. Leads us on, of course, to stadium expansion. I know they are expanding the stadium somewhat in the Copeland, of course, when the singing section in there. What do you make of this? Are you a fan of it?
I think you have to be a fan of it. I don't really see the downsides here. Teams like Livingston, Ross County, Dundee, perhaps Kelly, perhaps depending on the game. I don't think you're not taking anything away from the overall atmosphere. It's a very different conversation compared to like the Celtic allocation. Teams that are only bringing less than 100 or a couple of hundred fans, I don't think it makes any difference to the sense of occasion by having them in the club deck instead. It's that figure of 20,000 on the waiting list is quite remarkable, because that's not people that have just ticked the box to say, well, just go and stick me on the list. That's people who are paying through the manager scheme to be on the list to win with a chance of a season ticket. So, as you say, Derek, it does open up the stadium expansion conversation once again, and you see those kind of numbers, and you think what those 20,000 bums on seats could bring in terms of a match day revenue, not just through season tickets, but everything else round about the match day. It makes more of a financial case for stadium expansion. It's not to say that it immediately balances the books and it makes it an easy one, but it certainly does boost that particular case. So I think it's a really smart move from Rangers here. The more Rangers fans in Ibrox, the better. The more people that get to go and experience a match day, the better. There might be families that get to go for the first time, or people who are getting to Ibrox for the first time in a long time. If they then get to experience Ibrox because these tickets are now available, then all the better. So it's definitely a positive move for me, and interested to see how many other matches Rangers look to put it in operation for. Because outside, or the Celtic one's a different conversation. Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen. There's not that many other clubs are bringing big enough travelling support to justify having that entire corner. So I think it's something that Rangers will, if this trial proves successful and the police are happy with it and the SPFL are happy with it in terms of allocation, and the clubs are happy with it, I don't really see the downside here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that corner filled in with Rangers fans when Livy come to town. Right, folks, that'll do us there. Huge thanks to Chris and to everyone for interacting with the show and your support. It's much appreciated. Remember, I'll be on later on this afternoon around 4 p.m. with Joshua, who'll be sunning himself in La Manga. So we hope you can join us for that. Until then, if I don't speak to you, enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. Bye for now.